Good morning as we go to the Chitas of today. Today's Thursday, the fifth reading in the portion of Truma, which we are holding on chapter 26, verse number 31. Vasisa pareches, and now you shall make a curtain, a dividing curtain, tcheles v'agaman, which we made out of purple and blue and it says last shani, blue crimson wool and twisted fine linen. Sheish Mojadar, Maseh Choshev, it's a work of master weaver. Yasa Isa, he shall make it. Kerachim, it should be cherub design. Again, cherub design means that there was a design on both sides of this curtain, a different design on each side of the curtain. Nasha pareches, a pareches is a dividing, denoting something that divides, a dividing curtain. In the language of our sages in the Gemara, it's called a paragud. Something that separates between the king and the people. There was a curtain. Cheles v'agaman, each type was doubled in each thread with 6 strands. Maaseh choshev, what means a master weaver? I've already explained in verse 1 that this weaving of the two walls and the designs on both sides are unlike one another. This was a master weaver to be able to weave something that you saw on both sides, a different design and a different picture of an animal. That is the very hard thing to do. Keruvim, so Hashem shall make designs of creatures. There was a lion and an eagle, a lion on one side and an eagle on another side. See, they also had like the Chabad of West Boca, the design, the lion is the symbol. And you take this curtain and you're gonna place it on 4 pillars of acacia wood. So those were the door. That was a doorway to the Beis Hamikdash, or the doorway to the Holy of Holies. So they were made out of 4 pillars. Mitzop and Zav, Veveim Zav. They were overlaid with gold. Their hooks were gold. Al Arbad Nekesas, on 4 silver sockets. So these 4 pillars didn't have 2 silver sockets. They had 4 silver. Each one had their own socket. Now she says, inserted into 4 sockets with hooks attached to them. The pillars bent on the top in order to place it upon it, the pole around which the top, the dividing curtain was wound. These hooks are vavin, mentioned in the next verse, given this name because they were in the shape of the letter vav. The dividing curtain was 10 cubits long, corresponding to the width of the Mishkan from north to south, and 10 cubits high, the height of the plank. So it was 10 ames by 10 ames. So that the dividing curtain towards the Mishkan interior were 10 cubits, and from it, the dividing curtain towards the exterior were 20 cubits. Hence, the Holy of Holies was 10 cubits by 10 cubits, as it says, and they shall place the dividing curtain beneath the clasp, in verse 33, which joined the 2 sets of the curtains of the Mishkan, the width of the set being 20 cubits. When Moshe Rabbeinu spread them on the roof of the Mishkan from the entrance all the way to the west, it was first set as a curtain, ended after 2/3 way of the Mishkan. Second set covered remaining the third of the Mishkan, with the remainder curtain hanging over the rear cover of its planks. So these are the 2 different covers that were on the Mishkan itself and the cover inside the Beis Hamikdash. When Asatas apareches tachas acrossing, you shall take the place of dividing curtain beneath the clasp. And bring inside the curtain, inside the inner side of the dividing curtain, is the Ark of the Testimony. So here you divide the Mishkan itself into 2 parts. The first part, the inner part, was Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, where the Aron stood. And the other side of the curtain was Kodesh, was where the menorah was, and the Mizbeach Hazav, the gold altar, and the Shulchan. And this curtain shall separate between the holy and the holy of holies. And then you shall place the ark cover over the ark, in the holy of holies. And then you place the table on the outer side of the dividing curtain. And then you put the menorah the opposite side of the shulchan. So the shulchan was to the right, north side, and the menorah was to the south side. Al tzela mishkan teimana to the southern side. Al shulchan tiltin al tzela tzafin, and the shulchan was on the north side. Now she says the table was in the north, drawn away from the north world of the Mishkan by 2.5 cubits. The menorah was placed in the south side, drawn away from the southern wall by 2.5 cubits. The golden altar was placed opposite the space between the table and the menorah, drawing distance towards the east. The table, and the menorah and the golden altar was situated in the inner part of the Mishkan. How was this? The length of the Mishkan from the entrance to the dividing curtain was 20 cubits, because the Holy of Holies was 10 cubits. The Mishkan was 30 cubits in length. So you had the first 20 cubits. It was only 20 cubits is a big area. It's close to 30, at least 30 feet. So the 20 cubits, or even more, could be bigger. As I questioned how much is a cubit? We're all situated in the inner half of the Mishkan. How is this? The length of the Mishkan was from the entrance to the dividing curtain 20 cubits. The altar, the table, the menorah were drawn away from the entrance towards the western side of the 10 cubits. Aside 10 cubits. So they were all in the inner side. So there's 10 cubits of empty space. And then in the next 10 cubits was a beautiful, like a segel, a menorah, a mizbeach, the golden altar, which we haven't yet mentioned yet in the Torah. We'll soon mention it. And then to the right of it, to the north of it, was the table of showbreads. To the left of it was the menorah. In front of it was this curtain. And behind it was the aron. Then you have to make a cover. The Pesach Ayomed. The entrance also needs a curtain. It should be made of blue and purple, crimson wool, twisted fine linen. Ma'aseh Reikim, the work of an embroiderer. She says, Vasisa Machzach, also the curtain that is a protector opposite the entrance. Ma'aseh Reikim, the figures on the screen are produced on its needlework, just as a face was on one side and a face on the other side. Again, there were beautiful screens that had different pictures on either side. Reikim, she says, Reikim is an embroiderer, the name of a craftsman, not the name of the craft. American translation, Oved Sayed, a work of artists, but not an Oved Tzir, a work of artistry. The measurement of the screen was the same as the measurement of the dividing curtain, namely 10 cubits by 10 cubits. Verse 37. So the inner curtain had 4 poles. The outer curtain to the entrance of the temple had 5 pillars of acacia. Now, when the tzipisa is overlaid with gold, their hooks were gold. But on those you don't make silver sockets. It should be made 5 copper sockets. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of today. We go to the Tanya of the day. We are holding in still in chapter 27. So the central point of the above discussion was that though the occurrence of an evil thoughts in one's mind and through one's battle against them, right? Tarach gut. That's what the Rebbe would always demand on us. Trach gut. It's not easy because your mind doesn't allow you to trach gut. And causing great pleasure, because you should do it also because this causes great pleasure. By subduing my own sitra achra, by subduing my own klippa, my own cover, my own negativity, causing great pleasure above. The Rebbe now goes on to say that this subjugation of sitra achra and the conquest of divine pleasure are brought about not only by one struggle against sitra achra, when he attempts to lead him to sin. In our case, with a lack of a struggle against evil thoughts and the continued meditating on them would constitute a sin. Rather, one produces the same effect by struggling with one's nature and abstaining from even permitted matters. We're not even talking about negative things that I overcome a sin. I overcome a thought of a sin, a negative thought. Even things that I am allowed to do, and I control my desires. Whereas explained in chapter 6, any permitted action done without the specific intention, leading one to serve God, for example, eating in order to obtain strength for the study of Torah and mitzvahs. So if I don't eat for the sake of that, then I'm eating it for I give even if it's kosher food. So even if I eat kosher food, thus for the sake of the desire of eating, I'm not saying a sin. That's nothing wrong in the Torah to eat because you like to eat. You should eat and you should be satisfied. But if I don't do it l'shem shamayim, then I'm giving vitality to sitra achra. That's really where the sitra achra, where the evil gets its true strength from, because it usurps the kedusha from there. Because since the kedusha, the thing that I'm doing, which is good, but since it's tainted with selfishness, with not concept of godliness, that's where the sitra achra gets its power. That's its original place of power. It doesn't expect you to go do a sin. It has enough power from all the things that I do, shalei l'shem shamayim, all the things that I do for not to the sake of heaven. Derives the vitality of the sitra achra. This term simply means the other side of the absence of holiness. We're giving it a name, sitra achra, klippa. All these are Aramaic, Kabbalistic words for the concept of something that's the opposite of godliness. So, as we know, Chassidus teaches us we don't live in a vacuum. And either, like people would think, I am not thinking anything, is better than thinking something bad. But the truth is, they're both bad, and thinking nothing is both the opposite of holiness. And if I were to only think holy things, I'll never even come to think bad. But because I think I have empty thoughts, and thoughts of nothingness brings me to thoughts of negativity. So because it's Leila Hashem Hema, it's not for the sake of godliness. So it's automatically the sitra achra, so to say, the other side, the concept, the meaning of the other side again. That's why the simple meaning of sitra achra and klippa is this meaning, the absence of holiness. When we have the absence of holiness, according to the Torah, according to the Chassidus, you have already the concept of something that is negative, because it's an absence of holiness. Only an action so directed can draw its vitality from the realm of holiness. Therefore, whenever one refrains from doing even a permissible act in which this intention is lacking, Kol masecha yeh l'shem shamayim, everything I do, I should do for the sake of heaven. And I don't do it for the sake of heaven. And I do it for not sake. So even when I come to eat, that's why the Chachamim, even when it came to food, asked you to make a bracha. So by the bracha that I make, I think, you know what? I'm not ordering this food for the pleasure. I'm also bringing God. Or as the Gemara says, a person that eats at the table and doesn't divrei Torah. He doesn't say even one word of Torah. Self-understood. It's like an empty table. It's an empty table. The Gemara uses stronger terminology that I'm saying right now, but it's an emptiness. It's like a dead situation. We need to bring life to it. We need to bring godliness to it. And therefore, anything that I do, I should think before I do it. And if I'm going to do it just for the pleasure, push it off. Say, no, I'm not going to do it only for the pleasure, but I'm going to do it also for the spiritual thing. I'm doing it also for God. I'm going to bring God in everywhere I can. That's now the teaching of the Alter Rebbe. Furthermore, not only fighting his evil thoughts does this subdue its Sitra Achra, but even in matters that are fully permissible. Every act of sacrificing one's impulse, even if only for a short while, afilu shakala, meaning if he delays partaking of even a permissible essential with the intention of subduing his tachra. So he says, you know what, I'll eat a little later. I won't eat this food. Not because I don't want to gain weight. I don't need to, because I don't need it. And therefore, there's an expression by Chassidim. It says, what we're not allowed to do, we're not allowed to do. What we have to do, we have to do. What we're not allowed to do, we're not allowed to do. And what we are allowed to do, we don't have to do it. Not everything that we're allowed to do, that we have to do. So if I have something coming towards me that's dust for a selfish time, push it off. Do it later. That alone is a great power to my nefesh elikis. That alone is a great power to my godly soul. For example, he wants to eat. Pushes off his food. Well, that's for health reasons. He pushes off the food. He says, I'll eat an hour later. Let me open up a chumash. Let me learn. I'll eat an hour later. He learns Torah. Where he occupies himself with other physical matters. If you're going to say, I'll eat later, let me go play some football. That is not what the meaning of this Tanya is. Because basically, there's no difference between playing football and eating food. He does not subdue the Sitra Achra by postponing his meal, since he's in any case indulging in his animal soul. But if he studies Torah during that time, then even when the delay of his meal does not gain him any time for Torah study, right? Because what's the difference if I learn Torah now or I push it off and learn Torah later? Ultimately, the food is going to take time. So what are you gaining out of pushing it off? It's not like I say, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to learn, you know what? I won't eat. I'll learn Torah. No, it says I'm going to push it off. I'm going to eat in a half an hour. So what's the difference if I take time to eat now a half an hour, or I take in a half an hour to eat in a half an hour? What's the difference? Where he studies Torah regardless, as soon as he's satiated, and despite the fact that eventually does eat, that's not the point. The point over here is that he subdues the Sitra Achra by the mere effort of postponing his meal. You're right. You're going to eat in a half an hour. The postponing is the power. That's where you put the power in your hands. That's where you show yourself, you know what? What is more important right now? I could 100% eat in a half an hour. I can eat it right now. But you know what? I'll decide when to eat. I'll decide what's important at this present time. And he subdues the Sitra Achra by mere effort of postponing his meal. And thereby he brings about the divine pleasure caused by every subjugation of Sitra Achra. That's the power of Hiskafia. Alter Rebbe is explaining us the power of Hiskafia. Power of Hiskafia means subjugation, control. Is so powerful that it's a great power l'mayla. So don't think it's small, because you'll pay Liz. What's so difficult of pushing something off for half an hour? It's not like I'm pushing off that I'm not going to eat again. I'm going to eat this delicious food. I'm just going to learn now, and you eat it in a half an hour. That half an hour, that pushing it off half an hour, is a great concept to the to the pleasure of godliness and to my soul and to revelation of self, because I'm in control, proven to myself that I'm in control of why I'm eating and how I'm eating and even when I'm eating. The Yisrael Gemara, as the Gemara itself says it, is my 4th hour of the day is when all people eat their breakfast. The sages would push it off to the 6th hour. They've specifically decided that instead of eating at the 4th hour of the day, they'll continue learning. They'll eat the 6th hour of the day. Both going to eat. It's both going to take time to eat. And they're both going to eat. Both groups are eating. Not like the sages said, we won't eat. We'll just skip the breakfast. We'll go to lunch. No, they said they're going to eat their breakfast. But instead of eating like everybody the 4th hour, they'll continue their learning and eat at the 6th hour. And because they would go hungry for 2 hours with this intention. What's the difference? These sages, these yeshiva boys, they continued learning before the meal and they continue learning after the meal. So what's the difference? So what is the difference? That you do the 4th hour or the 6th hour? You're learning after the 4th hour, or you're learning after the 6th hour. What's the difference? Because it is a big difference. Again, it's not the difference in what you're eating and that you're eating. It's the difference is that I don't have to eat when normal people eat. I don't have to eat. This is the way nature is. We eat at the 4th hour. No, I'm in control of my nature. I'll decide when I want to eat. Not that the world is going to decide. Everybody eats at 4 o'clock. I need to eat at 4 o'clock. I don't. I need to eat. And therefore, I'm going to eat. But I don't need to eat it at 4 o'clock. 4th hour. Similarly, if one restrains his mouth from saying things which he generally desires to say concerning the mundane matters, even where there's nothing wrong with the words. Right? It's not saying he's not talking lashon hara. He's not talking evil. Stop. Conversation. Every conversation. How much time do we talk? Not negative. It's stop talking. Yet he refrains from speaking, precisely because he feels the desire to do so. He feels the desire to do so, that he wants to speak, and he controls Siag L'Chachma Shtika. That's what the Mishnah says. Siag L'Chachma, the best boundary, the best protection for one's wisdom is his silence. Shtika. He doesn't have to speak every time he desires to speak. Has self-control. And likewise, regarding the thought of his mind, he suppresses an urge to think about mundane matters. Why you think empty nothing? Abishta gave you a brain. Baruch Hashem, the God gave me a brain. And what am I thinking? Nothingness. I'm not thinking of sin. I'm thinking nothing. Push that off. Say, you know what? I'll think nothingness in 10 minutes. Let me think about something holy. Afilu ma'at mizor. Even the slightest subjugation. Skafir sitra. This you should realize. Is the sitra achra here is being pushed off. Because the sitra achra, my mundane world, my natural world loves nothingness. Because it knows that nothingness brings to something that it really wants, the negative. So the more nothingness there is, the more nothing that is in the world, the better it is for this concept of negativity. If people were busy filling their minds with holy things, with positive things, they would never come to do a sin because they wouldn't have the time. But we think of nothingness first. And that's where the Sitra Achra gets its power. That's where my nothingness gives my animal soul the most power it can get. Because he loves nothingness. He loves to talk vanity. Not a sin, vanity, nothing. So therefore, if I can control myself, even mizeh, it's interesting, very interesting expression out there, but using mat mizeh, the slightest. See, we fool ourselves to think that we pashut need to have total transformation. No. Siddur teaches you ma'at mizeh. You need to have a small step. You need to start with a small step. Your Yetzer Hara, my evil inclination, is telling me you need a big transformation, and you're simply not ready for that. And he's right. He might be right. I'm not ready for transformation. Before I can run, I need to crawl. I need to crawl. Ma'at mizeh. I need to show that I can control myself. That I can do what I want to do. What I think is right, what I know is right to do. Even though my animalistic soul says, no, it's too big. You're not there yet. You're not so holy. But you should realize that if once I take a small step, that's why your Yetzer Hara doesn't even want you to take a small step away from what he naturally loves, his natural disposition. My animalistic soul never wants me to change my nature, even my natural good nature. Never wants me to go more than it. Because he knows that small step is going to change everything. That small step is going to change everything in my life. Because the second I realize that I am in control, then I will go much further. That's why mitzvah gereres mitzvah. That's what the Mishnah says. One mitzvah drags another mitzvah. Because the second I show that I can do a mitzvah, that drags me to the next mitzvah. So therefore, my Yetzer Hara doesn't want even the small step. Because he knows what it's going to bring. Because the second I do that small step, the subjugation of this sitra achra, this other side, this unholiness, is subjugated here below. And what happens? Stalek and the Alter Rebbe, this statement, I believe, has thus been repeated 3 or 4 times in this chapter itself. This statement, to the subjugate. This is the statement of the Zohar, which the Alter Rebbe started this chapter. The subjugation of the Sitra Achra below, Stalach Yikara de Kutsha Brichu, is the glory of God is spread out. Stalach, spread out, greatly elevated and spread out. Kutsha Brichu Leharbe, spread out an unbelievable great amount. So therefore, again, remember, one little step over here that a person does in this world, Zeirmat. Remember those words, Zeirmat, Zeir, little. One little step that I show myself, my self-control, that I show myself I can overcome even a good nature, even a something that is just naturally good, and I can overcome it to bring a concept of godliness into it, to make it selfless. It creates an unbelievable power Lamaila, an unbelievable revelation above, and the Eibishter through that brings down godliness in the world at large. As we learn in Chassidus, the infinite light of God is revealed through that small step. The Zohar says, through that small step is revealed in this world an unbelievable power, which this unbelievable power ultimately affects me. My small step teaches me, because I revealed I revealed my neshama in such an unbelievable way, this small step, that ultimately it's going to transform myself. It's going to transform the world. It's going to transform myself. And that's the power of even having a skafia, not on a sin, not on a thought of a sin, but having a skafia even on things that are good, but done for selfish reasons. I can bring a selfless reason. I can bring godly reason. The Shem Shamayim in everything I do. Then I have the beauty of this concept. You know, I always said before, I once said in the class over here, that the truth is, that you take the Beis Hamikdash, the Mishkan, this beautiful Mishkan, which is built out of gold. This was extremely a beautiful golden temple. All its vessels were gold. All its walls were gold. Everything was, the tapestry was beautiful. And the Eibusher says, I want all this beauty lishma. If you don't do it lishma, also li mikdash. If you do it, look, oh, look at this beautiful building. Let's create a beautiful, phenomenal, unbelievable building. If you don't do it lishma, it has no value. I'm not interested in beautiful buildings. I'm interested in the lishma, that you show that everything, even gold and silver and all these tapestries and all this beauty, is all l'shem shamayim. Asu li migdash. And if we could take the world, the beauty of this world, and instead of using it out for selfish reasons, asu li migdash, make it for me, this beautiful world, that it should be put into it some aspect of godliness, then I dwell in your midst. I don't even dwell in your godly learning. I mean, you learn Torah. I don't even dwell in the mitzvahs you do. That's self-understood. That's my Torah and it's my mitzvahs. But I want to dwell in your physical world. I want to dwell in your physical reality, not only your physical, but in the beauty of your physical world. The beauty, gold, silver, gracious, and all the beautiful designs and all the beautiful tapestry. I want to live there too. The only thing you need to do is to take everything physical, everything being beautiful in this world, and put a little bit of godliness. Put a little bit. Make it a little bit the concept for the sake of heaven. And v'shachanti b'seichem. And then I will. Oid ensei v'shachanti. I will dwell there. And that's the purpose of why I created the world. So that I should be a dira b'tachtenim. The whole purpose was that I should dwell in this world. And I dwell in this world because you make for me a place in this world. That completes the Tanya of the day. Today is the 6th day of the month. Therefore, it's chapter 35 to chapter 38. If you do those 4 chapters of Tillim, you will do the chitas of the day. I want to invite everybody to 2 wonderful classes that are happening today at Chabad. First of all, at 10 a.m., we're going to give a class on the Rebbe's teaching of the parsha of the week. At 10 a.m., you come to Chabad or on this Zoom, and then at 7 p.m., we are having a class in Hilchos Shabbos. This is a little bit of a tense kind of class, but everybody should learn the laws of Shabbos, and everybody's welcome to come. This is not going to be on Zoom. This is at Chabad at 7 p.m. tonight. It's an hour class, and we're going to learn the laws of Malbon, and which is the laws of cleaning, whitening. Malbon is to whiten something on Shabbos. And it's fascinating. One of the malachas, one of the 39 malachas of Shabbos, and everybody should know the laws of Shabbos to the depth of it. So everybody's welcome to come tonight at 7 p.m. I wish you all a wonderful day. Midshem tomorrow, I'm going to be traveling, so I'm going to find out what time Rabbi Kramer can do the chitas. So it might be at 9 a.m. Usually he can do it at 9 a.m. So we'll find that out, and we'll put that out when the chitas tomorrow is going to be. So he's going to be at 8 a.m. or no, it's probably going to be at 9 a.m. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.